Hi guys, welcome to my live. Hi. I'm waiting for you all here. I'm really sorry. I almost forgot that I was supposed to go live tonight, and I just got the notifications, and I know it's um probably an hour after the time I was supposed to be live. But hey, I had a lot of things on my plate today, and yeah, and I'm just realizing now that I was supposed to be live an hour ago. Yeah, I was swamped. I was really swamped. Hi, if you're just joining me, thank you so much for clicking and joining my live. I hope many people will join us soon. So if it's your first time here, before we start with the conversation, based on the title that you probably have seen, um, please don't forget to like this live as well as oh okay, it's just coming and leaving. Anyway, I'm here now and I'm here to stay, and I'm still waiting for some of you. I know some of you always you probably find this later after this live is gone or is already over. But I want to thank you so much for clicking and also watching and spending your time on my channel. I don't look down on the support you are giving me, guys. I want to thank you every day for doing this and continuing to show up for me. Yeah, you see the title of this video today. I remember very much when I started teaching in China. Like I said, I was humiliated, and it's something that I was even. I feel so embarrassed to say that I was teaching in China, but today I'm proud to say that I'm teaching English in China, which some 10 years ago used to look so funny, or people will think otherwise, or even joke about it, or sometimes people will say nasty things. People used to say nasty things. I think nowadays it has changed. But the first year I came to China, and the first year I started teaching in China, and actually telling my peers or people I've went to school with that I was in China as a teacher, it was something that people were I would say people would just jump to conclusions and jump to judge when you say you're teaching in China, especially when you say you're teaching in kindergarten or any other institute that is maybe teaching kids and stuff like that. So people kind of look down upon it. I don't know what was really going inside people's head, concerning teaching English in China. It was kind of like looked down upon that being a teacher in China was something that was not attractive to most viewers out of China, So going home during the vacations and people will asking you, oh, what are you doing? Where are you now? We heard that you are no longer in Zimbabwe and stuff like that. So mentioning that I'm in China because, I don't know why people have this misconception about China, like they always think that things that are made in China are fake, of poor quality, they are not good enough, they don't meet the standards. But later on, I came to understand why people have that misconception anyway. So saying that you are here to teach here, yet they have these notions about China, it was something that was really, really fun. And well, I can't really say it was fun. I kind of saying the way people used to tease us about being teachers in China, it was so disheartening, and you'd find yourself shying away when it comes to maybe your peers, or you meet your classmates and you're all talking about what you're doing and trying to catch up. The moment you say that you're teaching in China, you find like you have brought in a boring subject on the table. Like most people wouldn't be so curious about what you're doing and what life abroad means to them, because they just looked down upon China at that time. So saying that you are teaching, I think there was a specific name, a particular name that people in Zimbabwe used to use about teaching in China. I'm forgetting. I'm forgetting. Like, you are babysitting. I don't know how people used to see it and understand it, But after several years of teaching in China, and after I noticed how that had changed my life and how I've started building my life towards the better, and having acquired certain things that even the people who were in Zimbabwe couldn't, um, I started to realize that, anyway, let them laugh and let them say whatever they want to say about it, but I really don't care, because um, at the end of the day, it's not benefiting them. It was me who understand very well what was going on. And me staying in China here, even though most of my friends and people that I knew that we came to China, I came to China with, or some of them I came when they were already here. They were leaving, at that early time, they were leaving. And I also wish I had started doing YouTube during that time, because there were so many things that people didn't know or didn't understand, and why people were choosing to come to teach English in China. It was something that was still new, and a lot of foreigners were coming to teach here during their breaks. And I think people who really understand the importance or the great advantages of doing that were like people from Europe. And I remember most people who were teaching here, like from the European countries or even Americas, they would come here to teach during their gap years. They were still students and stuff like that. So you find that even at that time, teaching in China was not as hard as it is right now. Like, if you were a foreigner, you could be just walking on the street, and somebody would just approach you and ask you if you were interested in teaching their kids, teaching their children, or teaching in their school and something like that. I know teaching English wasn't that popular during that time when I first came, like 10 years ago. It wasn't that popular. And you find that a lot of Chinese people at that time were not able to speak English. So it was kind of like hard even for them to understand foreigners. So it was pretty new. So you find that even looking for teaching jobs here in China, it was kind of easy. It was really easy. You could actually choose where you'd like to work, and you could actually negotiate for how much you wanted to be paid. I think what worked more 10 years ago was your confidence. Yeah, it was more like nobody will ask you whether you are qualified or not. So you find that as the time goes on, you find that a lot of foreigners started to come to China. I think they began to understand the importance of teaching in China and how it was easy to make money in China. If you were somebody who was smart enough, I think some 10 years ago, you were able to do quite a lot of things. You were able to make money in China because it was not as hard as it is now. So I think in the past years, you find that people who were outside of China didn't understand how easy it was to make money teaching English in China. Only what they thought was China is a country that was well known for copying, that was well known for making things that are not up to standard. So that's like making regions sort of, yeah, the things were not lasting longer. So you find a lot of people couldn't really understand why an African girl like myself would leave my country and come all the way to teach English in China. So time moves on. Time went by, and then I started to make trips back home. And the first thing I did that I'm thankful for up to today was I tried to make use of my first time here in China. I took advantage of that people were not understanding me, right? Like I said, most Chinese at that time couldn't speak English. So I took advantage of that. I just wanted to learn to understand them and learn the culture. I can say the first year of coming here, although I was being mocked by people back from my country, the people here in China were too curious about me, and I was too curious to understand them because I really wanted to understand the culture. So I found myself trying hard to learn the language and to mingle with the locals. And I was lucky enough. I was studying in Shandong University as an exchange student, and at that time we had this very kind teacher, and she knew that to learn a language you need to be exposed to the culture and to the people that can help you be able to speak. Unfortunately, I was in a class that was full of Koreans, and Koreans. I'm sure if you know Koreans, Koreans are too proud of their language. So, regardless of us studying Chinese, but they would try to find every chance they can. They'll speak Korean in the class, regardless of having other people who can understand them. But they were too proud to even make an effort to practice Chinese since they were here to learn Chinese. So the teacher paired me with a group of Chinese guys. There were few girls who were studying English in the university. So I was paired with guys who were majoring in English, and which I'm really, really thankful for that. Why the teacher matched me with those guys, because they helped me to speak the Chinese I can speak right now. And also knowing these guys, it also helped me. And it was kind of like I can say it was fate, because knowing these guys also helped me to meet my husband eventually. So it was a win-win situation, but I think I want more. Yeah. So long story short, I started making trips back home. Um, when I started making money, I started making trips back home to meet my family. And like I said, still people back home in Zimbabwe didn't understand really that teaching in Zimbabwe, in China, was really a good way of making money, and also was nice as compared to people were opting to go to UK and do and do social works, and even do works like helping the old elderly and stuff like that. But I just felt to myself, I told myself I wasn't good in that. I wasn't patient enough to do that. Yeah, I just said to myself, I want to challenge myself. I want to learn a new language. I want to immerse myself in a new culture that I don't know the language at all. But I gave myself a year to learn Chinese language and truly understand the Chinese people. Then after that, I started to enjoy my life here. I became really comfortable, and I continued to work here, and I continued to be mocked back home for being a teacher in China. But anyway, I didn't actually think much about it. Fast forward things, after 2 years, I had a time that I feel like, okay, I had enough here. And it seems like nobody was understanding why I would choose to teach kids in China, kids who do not understand me, and how I'd learned so much, guys. I mean, that time I became a teacher. I learned so much because I also learned how to use what do you call it, sign language, use of your hands, use of non-verbal words and stuff, so that people can understand me. I can say I was pretty much good at it anyway. So that's when, after 2 years of staying here, I wanted to migrate to another country. So I wanted to go to America, which I sometimes look at it now. There was this program that the US was offering for people who wanted to enter the US and just become citizens immediately. That is the DV lottery. I don't know if it's still there, if it's still working or what, but yes, I did try it. And the first year I tried it, I was selected. Out of the millions and millions who played, I was selected. But then at that time, I was in the middle of my studies, and I was beginning to love China, to be honest. In my second year, I was really in love with China. So I got the offer later, and I went through all the processes of this DV lottery, because after you get picked, it doesn't mean that that's the final stage. There were so many stages and so many series of paperwork that needed to be done for this process to until we get to the end of you being sent to your home country, the American embassy, to apply for the visa now to travel to the US. But then I felt like, no, I I don't know, something in me just told me that no. After I went through all this hassle of back and forth, sending papers, sending backup information, because there were so many requirements. I did all that, and after doing that and moved back and forth, I finally received a letter that was instructing me to go back to my country for an interview um, at the embassy, American embassy in Zimbabwe, in Harare. That is the capital city of Zimbabwe. So I don't know. I just developed cold feet at the last stage. That was the last stage for me now to find myself or to migrate to the US using the DB lottery. But then last minute, something in me, so I always feel like that was my fate. Something in me, although I was proactive, sending the papers, all the document that was needed, but when I reached the last stage for the visa, for me to now go back and actually go to the US, I just suddenly developed cold feet. And I don't know why. I just one day I just woke up and asked myself, Rhoda, do you really want this? You know what, guys? I wrote a letter to the embassy of United States in Zimbabwe, in Harare, and asked them. I gave them an excuse and asked them to give me more days, because they sent me a letter with my appointment date and time, and I was supposed to show up at the embassy that day at that time, but I wasn't unable to. So I had to explain to them that I was in China, I was a student, and I had exams coming up, and they told me they were going to give me some more time until I was ready. But that was supposed, I remember I got this letter in the early in the first 3 months of the year. I mean, I think that was in February or March. I forgot. So I told them I had exams that were coming up, and they said they were gonna give me some more time until the end of the year. But I wasn't after the end of the year. My application was gonna be thrown away. So I said, okay, cool. I think that was enough time for me to really think about me moving to the US. And I at the same time, I was thinking, like, okay, my friends always laugh at me for being a teacher in China, and I wanted to go abroad. I wanted to go to the US to build my dreams there and start a new life there. And I knew that by going to the US, I wasn't going to start to apply for permits and to stay there, or the green cards or something, because this lottery was a green card lottery, which means I was automatically going to get the green card when I enter the US. So after that, I just dilly dally. I stayed in China, and I kept on building reasons why I shouldn't go to the US. And I knew no one in the US, and I was so afraid. I suddenly developed cold feet about the whole idea. And guys, I just decided to cancel it and continue to teach in China, which I'm really thankful for. Maybe it was just driving me towards meeting my future husband, because at that time I haven't met him, but a year after that I met him. So maybe that's why I was just developing cold feet about the whole thing. So the only second thought came again after I was left with like a week for my invitation to expire, my interview invitation to expire. So I was like, no, I've made up my mind. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to stay here, and I'm just going to let people in Zimbabwe laugh at me or label me or call me names for being a teacher in China. But look at me now, it's 10 years, 15 years down the line. I'm still here. Now I'm a mom. I'm married. I'm a mom. And I'm still a teacher. Yeah, you probably be wondering, what are you doing? Yes, I am still a teacher, but I feel like I've been teaching for so many years. And now I feel like I need to move from being a teacher to something else. I'm not growing younger, I'm growing old. And I feel like I've done this job for a long time. And the unfortunate part is I don't have a pension for it. So I feel like now I want to just choose a path that I am comfortable with, and I'm now following my dreams, doing things that I love. I think if you've noticed, watched my channel, if you have just joined my channel, please don't forget to smash that like button, like that live, and let's have a conversation. As we speak, let's have a conversation. I really, really can't wait, and I really, really, uh, yeah, can't wait to know you and know where you're watching me from. And it's something that I really love. So I wish we can say something in the comment section, guys. And yeah, let's have a conversation. I would love to know where you're watching me from. It's really interesting to know that you are talking to people who are watching you, and I also get to know you guys. So where were I? So I said 15 years down the line, I am still a teacher. I'm still in China and I'm still teaching here, but I feel like I have been teaching long enough. And not that I don't like teaching, I've become good at it, and I really love my kids. I love my students. I love to see them happy, and I love to see them learning something from me, or hearing them using what I have told them. It's something that makes me so proud as a teacher. And currently I'm teaching in a kindergarten, but being in China, I can say I have experience teaching all ages. I've taught in the university, I've taught in the middle school, high school, primary school, private schools, public schools. I've taught them all. I've taught adults. I've taught in academies. I've taught in companies. Yes, I've taught in companies. I remember one of my best years, I taught in a company that is a Korean company that I trained their marketing team. I taught there for like 2 years. I had a contract with them. I taught for like 2 years, and I was training these guys who were going to America and Europe to market their products. I also taught for Samsung and other cheap. Korean companies are mainly they are famous for producing the production of chips. Yes, chip, not eating chips. I think the microchips or something. So yes, I've done that. I've trained most of them, and some I still meet them. Some I'm still in contact with them, and some are still, doing the same thing as I am. And it makes me really proud that I have come across so many people in during my years here and my time as a teacher here. I've taught so many people. I can't even count them. I think there are more than thousands and thousands that I've crossed path with, and I'm still a teacher. And I feel like at the moment, even when I go back to my country now as a teacher, you find that a lot of people, like I want to speak of the recent visit. Last month I was in Zimbabwe. No, it's this month. We are still in this month. It's still February. Yes, I was in Zimbabwe, and I had a lot of people, like with the current situation in Zimbabwe, I had a lot of people um, coming to me and wanting to know, like asking me questions about how do they go about it. They want to come to China. They want to come and teach in China. Now, it's not as it was some 10 years ago or even some 5 years ago before the COVID. I think the rules and around the education system and teaching in China was quite flexible as compared to what it is like right now. At the moment, I feel like the teaching industry, I mean, English teaching industry in China is kind of going down. I don't know why, and I can't tell why, because it seems like the laws are changing on daily basis. There are so many laws against the teaching in English. Some institutions were even forced to close, which meant that the demand for teaching English jobs in China greatly affected. So you find that now, um, even when it comes to job offers in China, um, you find that there is a number, or there are certain countries that are required that in the job description they do not just pick anyone. They have certain countries they require, for, when they're looking for somebody for in their job offers. It's sad to know that African countries are really not considered to be natives of English speaking, and they are not really recognized as English teachers here in China. So it's unfortunate that, as an African, to find a job, a teaching job in China at the moment, is not easy. It's hard. I know a lot of people who are leaving China not because they want to leave, it is because they can't find jobs. Them coming from African countries, so it's really sad. So you find most job offers, they only require people from America, from UK, or from Europe. When they say non-native teachers, they actually prefer white-skinned people. I don't know whether we can say they are becoming more racial about it, but 10 years ago, nobody cares. They didn't care because the demand was so high and it was so competitive as compared to now. Now it's the job offers aren't as many as before, so you find it's so hard that once a person lost their jobs, it's hard to find another one. It may take longer than they expect, so for them to thrive without a job here in China, although the cost of living in China is way lower, but without a job you can't really survive in China, unlike when you are back in your home country. So recently, when I had a trip back home, I had a couple of people asking me, how to move to China, how to teach, how to find a teaching job in China. But now, at the moment, when I try to explain these things to people back home, they may not really understand. It's only when they come to China here when they can understand what I'm saying. Like I said, it used to be so easy to find jobs here, and you find that if people were working here and doing notable, real good things back home, of course, everybody can see and start to emulate. But then when they ask you, how can we do it? How can we also come and join it? And I tell them what I'm telling you right now, guys. Nobody can really understand or accept. They feel like, oh, Rhoda just doesn't want us to join, or Rhoda want to make all the money in China, she want to grab it all by herself. But I'm saying, if you are not in the system as a non-native speaker, of course we learn English, we speak English, I mean, our official languages in our countries is English. But because I come from Africa, I come from Zimbabwe, it is not recognized as an English speaking country here. You can't teach. Even getting a work permit here in China, the category where you are put because of your country is, it's not, you can't get a teaching visa. It's rare. It's not easy to get a teaching visa unless you are in the system already. Then they can't really do anything about it. But if I'm a newcomer who want to join in the industry, who want to go in the education sector, it's really hard, really hard. So I've seen a lot of people, especially Africans, exiting now because they can't find jobs. And once they find the jobs, it's also hard to keep because the demand is there for natives, especially now the color plays a major role. Although it's not just the color, now they look at the qualifications. If you're not qualified, like, let me say, guys, you will not believe this. Some 10 years ago, nobody will ask you whether you were qualified or not, or which degree you have, whether your degree would allow you is something that can fall in the education, whether you can be a teacher. Anybody could teach here in China, irregardless of your degree, irregardless of your profession. Anybody could teach. But nowadays it's different, which I think the Chinese have changed it. Like I said, the teaching job is no longer on demand as it was some years ago. You find a lot of Chinese now can speak English. A lot of Chinese can do this by themselves. A lot of Chinese are becoming wealthier, so they prefer to even send their kids to these countries, maybe to the US, to the UK. They will send their kids to go and study there. So you find that the demand isn't that high. Of course, you find schools that are still hiring foreigners as teachers here, mainly are international schools, which I know some international schools are actually running out of business because most of these kids, the parents are opting to send their kids to send their kids abroad to study rather than sending them to local international schools. So in that case, you find that the demand for teachers is also going down. Like I mentioned earlier, it's going down, which is becoming really harder. But then looking back to me, when people used to mock me, I want to thank them for doing that, because without them, probably I could have fooled myself and exited this country. But anyway, I stayed, and I've been a teacher for more than 10 years, and let's say 15 years to be precise. So yeah, I'm really proud of that. But I also feel sorry for um my countrymates who would love to move to China to teach in China. It's unfortunate that it's hard for them to find jobs here, and let alone to be employed and be given the work permits here based on where they come from. They are Zimbabweans, and Zimbabwe is not one of the listed countries where they can say you are native speakers. Although you are not native, still they cannot hire you if you are a newcomer here in China, unless if you are going to be teaching illegally, which is a really, really big risk in China. The laws didn't actually care whether you teach in a kindergarten, in a what, whether after that you have another job of teaching elsewhere. They didn't really care. But now you find that even when they give these work permits, you are supposed to be in a place that applied for your permit. If this school gives you a permit, you are not allowed to teach in another place. You can only, your permit only allows you to be in one place. You can't be in another place. So if you are caught, whereas the government always do these sport checks and stuff like that, so if they get to know that you are teaching in another school with a permit from another school, it's committing the crime, which also means that they have the right to cancel the visa. They have the right to deport you because you are teaching illegally where you are not supposed to. So it's really hard to stay in this profession here. But anyway, if you are here in China and you are a teacher, and everything is going on well with you, then kudos to you, because I know it's really hard for non-natives to come to China right now and find jobs as teachers. Although in the past it used to be so rampant that to the extent that you would choose where you would like to teach, it was to that extent that, because of course people used to have misconceptions about China and teaching in China, so you find a lot of people didn't want to come and teach in China. But so uh, the demand was so high that nobody would ask you about your qualifications, where you come from. It was not something of concern. They would just know you're a foreigner, so being a foreigner, they know you speak English and you can teach. That was the only qualification to be a teacher in China. Some 11 or 10 years ago, was just being a foreigner. Oh, my soul hurts. Vietnam. I also heard that, because there are so many people living in China and going to Vietnam. I also heard that Vietnam has um there is also that the salaries are low. And I also heard that, I don't know how true is that, you can tell me. I also heard that the payment system is different. You find that if you're an African or a person of color, your salary is lower. So you find that most people were trying to hold on to teaching in China because of the cost of living and the higher salaries. But nowadays things have changed. Like I said, the demand isn't there anymore, and yeah, the competition is there. Is still there. The competition is there. So you find that it's really hard. I don't know. I've had people going to other Asian countries, and I know some people are going to Japan, that is also accepting teachers, but it's hard for teachers, African teachers, moving from China to Japan. Japan is not accepting such teachers. So in that case, I feel like, although we people used to laugh at me being a teacher here in China, I feel the past years have been so great to me, even Japan is a no. Yeah, so I heard people are moving to Japan, but I don't know. I really don't know what's happening there. But what I know is the cost of living is high because I once traveled to Japan and I felt like everything was too pricey. Yeah, coming from China. So yeah, I don't know. So I know people are moving to other Asian countries. Korea is another, but I also heard there is this kind of racism in there, uh, but I can't really pinpoint because I've never tried moving to Korea myself. I've been a teacher in China and I've taught in China alone. I've never taught anywhere else, just in China. So all I know about teaching is teaching Chinese people. So yeah, I don't have much knowledge about how they run things in other countries. You said it's a classism. Okay. All right. That's what I was just thinking. Maybe they are being racist or something, but I really don't have experience of my own in other countries. I only know this in China. So yeah, so I don't really want to go far from the topic of this live. That is, I used to feel so humiliated or even um oh yeah, yeah, that I know about that. So I used to really feel really uncomfortable, like saying to people, my countrymates, whenever I go home, that I'm coming from China or I'm teaching kids in China or the kind of institute I was teaching in. Because I remember in my first years as a teacher here, I I was teaching I was teaching everywhere. My first year as a teacher here, I was teaching in an academy because I was a student full time. So I was teaching in an academy that was in after school where I used to teach primary school kids. And after that, I was teaching at home. I was teaching two teenagers at home. And then as time goes on, and those two teenagers were Koreans. And I end up getting introduced to most of their friends. So I end up teaching a group of kids that were teenagers in middle school. And after that, I think as years went by, I started teaching in teaching adults. Yes, I taught adults. That's the working class. Then that also prompted me to getting a contract with a company, and I also taught for Samsung here in Weihai, like I mentioned earlier on. So I think I've taught people from other countries here in China, mainly the Koreans. I remember I taught two Japanese, but here in China, I didn't teach in Japan. It was just what I was saying is just based on what I heard, but it's not really my experience with this. But what I've noticed, I can say during this time of teaching other people from other countries, I really had a great time teaching Koreans because I felt like Koreans could understand things way, way faster. When you explain things to them, they have this understanding that is just out of this world. I don't know if it was just those group of teenagers I was teaching or not, but I felt like it was easier for me to teach Koreans than any other nationalities. So um what were I saying? So yeah, to just say the least about teaching in China, I also think that teaching in China is coming to an end for most people, not because they want, but because you find that the teaching sector is closing up. A lot of Chinese now can speak English, and hence I feel like they don't really feel like they need to continue to learn. They feel proud of what they know now, and they feel they do their best. Because one thing I noticed when while I was teaching even adults, Chinese adults, I noticed that they really put their effort. They put more effort. They want to learn. They really learn. They put their effort, and they want to do things to perfection. That's one thing I've noticed during the time I taught adults in China. So you find nowadays, even going out, it's really easy to meet somebody who speaks English fluently. Unlike then, when I started, when I first come to China, it was really hard to find somebody who could speak English, which made me learn Chinese really quick because I wanted to understand them. I was tired of using sign language in everything. So I wanted to understand. I really wanted to understand. And I learned Chinese. So it becomes really, really easier for me to communicate. So as time goes on, even teaching them, it really helped me being able to speak Chinese. It really helped me being a teacher here because I didn't necessarily need an assistant to help me. I could do all by myself. So I felt like I even became more aware and more fluent in Chinese after I began teaching here because I could understand more. I could make mistakes. I could try to understand like how to translate what I'm saying to those who couldn't get it. And when I tried to do that, they would know that, okay, I'm making a mistake. They'll correct me. So hence, I was a teacher also learning in the process, which was a great advantage for me. And having this ability to speak the language and understand it and teach English also to speakers of this language, it was a blessing for me. And I'm forever thankful for that and having the opportunity to do that. Okay, guys, if you just come to the live, don't forget to like this live, y'all, and also share if you can. You can share with your friends. I know I've just started doing these lives, and I've chose Sundays because Sundays are more relaxed than any other day. Oh, Hongta, hi. Okay, thank you so much for coming again. So I said I was never so into doing this, but I did live during the COVID period. That's when I took YouTube seriously. And then after that, I think I got relaxed and I just forgot about doing lives. But I feel like coming back as live doing lives, it also increased my confidence. It also make me easier for me to interact with you and get to know you more. Um Yes, I think teaching a language allows one to be aware of the language. It's really true. It really helped me, especially when you teach the language, a different language in a different country, and you are trying to learn the language of that country as well. And you get the environment and the students in front of you, they are natives of that language. It's really, really helpful. It really helped me. And I was able to achieve my goal to be able to speak Chinese within a year. But looking back now, I remember at the beginning of that year, I really wanted to go back home. I wanted to go back because I was like, why am I in this place where I don't understand anybody, and they don't understand me? It was I think the first 3 months of me staying here and learning the language was the hardest ever. It was a challenge, but anyway, I pulled through and I managed to learn the language really fast, really fast. And I'm forever thankful for that. I never knew that I can survive because, like I said, in my country, when people used to see Chinese people or hear about China and stuff like that, all we used to think was like, we had this misconception about Chinese people. We used to think that everybody is good at martial arts, everybody can do karate on the street. You don't need to say anything bad or else someone would do karate to you. Only when I came here, I started to go through my misconception one by one and realize that, oh my God, I was really wrong all this time. All this time. Oh yeah, actually I saw Sabbatical's video last night. Last night I think I just missed him. Just with days. I saw him last night, and yeah, he just claimed that he became a trillionaire. You know what? I actually have that trillion. I went to Zimbabwe in August, and I bought myself that 1 trillion because when they used the 1 trillion, I was not in Zimbabwe. I couldn't go back home because of the COVID. But now, yes, I saw his video. I really, really loved it. I really, really loved it. It's one of the best videos I've ever watched about him. And I didn't know, somebody recommended it to me. I was really impressed. I was really impressed. Anyway, back to it. So, I mean, we had so many misconceptions about China before coming to China. So, coming to China, I really wanted to learn everything so fast and understand everything so fast. You know, Even up to this day and age, I still laugh when people ask me some weird questions about Chinese people, like, are they like this? Do they do this? And something. I'm still like, oh, that was me some 15 years ago. That was me. I had those preconceived notions about Chinese people. I had I have conclusions. So after coming here, I got to start learning that, oh, all these things I think about Chinese people is just my thoughts. None of them are real. Some of them, if they are closer to real, it's maybe something that have happened in the past, maybe a long time ago, and nowadays nobody is even doing that. So 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 yeah, I think it has been a learning process. And another beautiful thing is being a teacher here. I have so many things that I've been exposed to, and you know, and also learn. And something that I think if someday I go back to Zimbabwe, as you all know, that I'm making these plans of moving back to Zimbabwe. And at the moment, anyway, if things go so well, I do want to show you one of my biggest achievement back in Zimbabwe. I want to show you. It's a surprise anyway. I'll let you know ahead of time when the video is ready. I'm recording it, and I'm recording this and keeping the files, and I'm gathering everything, putting everything together. And this is one of my biggest projects back home, and I'm really, really proud of myself for this one. And I want to share with everybody. And it's something that will always or constantly reminds me of being a teacher in China and my achievement that I've managed to do back home. So yeah, I can't really wait to show you guys. You can set an import and export. Yes, you're right. Actually, I once tried doing this. I can say I wasn't really happy with the outcome of importing and export. I mean, of exporting from China to Zimbabwe. I tried doing this, and I was disappointed. But anyway, I'm not giving up. I've given up for so many years, but I want to try it one more time, because now that I want to make this move and live in Zimbabwe, definitely I want to continue to have these strong ties between Zimbabwe and China, and I want to do something that will not make me forget China. Well, I'm married here. My child is from here. My husband is from here. So either way, I'm tied here. But I want to do something that is more fruitful. Can I say something that is more fruitful, something that um I can benefit from, that's starting a business between China and Zimbabwe. I'm trying to source for that right now. At the moment, I'm trying to source the ideas. Like you've watched in my video before, my family and other strangers that I've asked when I was asking for their opinions about relocating to Zimbabwe at the moment. And a lot were coming up with the idea that if you don't have a business back home, I think it's not the right time to move back. um Now coming back and the thinking of that, I felt like yes, they are right, because while least I'm here, life in China, to be honest, the cost of living in China is lower. But when you look at Zimbabwe, if you just go back with an idea and nothing to fall back on, or something to generate money for you, it may be so hard. So this is something I'm thinking about, what we can work on, and that is stable and that can help us to sustain our life in Zimbabwe. So I'm thinking about it. Yes, starting a business is a great, great, great thing and a great idea. Whereas I've noticed that everybody in Zimbabwe was just rooting for that. Like, start a business, have something to fall back on, start a business that is already generating income and stuff. So yeah, I'm working on that. And so far, when I was in Zimbabwe, I did my research while Lista was there. I've also noted that there are quite a lot of things that um are not in Zimbabwe, or that you can bring from China to Zimbabwe and can actually make good money out of. Only you need to start. I need to start. It's just an idea, but I need to make a business plan. I need to find investors, because some of them needs a lot of money to start, but the cashback, and once everything is stabilized, it's a promising business, and it's something that can generate enough, and not to worry. And it's something that once it's stable, it can run well without so many hurdles. So I'm actually thinking of that path. So yeah, guys, I'll be sharing everything with you. And also, like you said, like I said before, I really value your opinions, I really value your advice. So hence I'm doing these lives. Sometimes you just need validation. Of course, I will have the final say, but sometimes sharing things makes it lighter. And reading your comments and your chats, what you're suggesting, also makes it better to me. That it gives me that, go ahead. Like, I'm promising you guys, I feel like I have to do something, I have to fulfill it. Anyway, today I got an inspiration. I almost forgot to show you guys. So today, like, if you watch some of my videos, my car is an electric car. So today I went to swap the battery. While I was there, um this I met somebody there. You see this bag? I met somebody there with a truck full of bread and stuff. And I was like, "Are you selling the bread or something?" And then they were like, "No, we are giving this bread especially for neo owners, because my car is a neo." And they say they are giving them to neo owners who are coming to the power station today to, yes, a bread shop, who are coming to swap the batteries. So we have a swap station in Weihai. And I always go there on weekends, and I don't know what the odds, because I almost didn't go there today, and they are not there on daily basis. So I always swap like once a week, once a week. So this car, he's also a neo driver, and to my surprise, you see, people are starting businesses. When you think things are hard, people are starting business, people have ideas, and people are marketing in many many ways. So when I was there, you see this bag, it's really cute, it's really big. And so I was like, "Oh, after you swap your battery, please don't drive away, stay here, I have a gift for you." And I'm like, "Oh, cool, no problem." So he handed me this bag, and I was like, it's bread. So I was just thinking, "Oh, is it a calendar or something?" You know what it is, guys? So it's only when after I got here, I opened the bag, and what's in the bag is full of bread. So not so full, I'm exaggerating, but well, there's so many. So let me show you, and then I'll tell you what method they are using to the method they are using to market. This is actually a new business. They are marketing it, and see, this is mocha bread. It's fresh. This is mocha bread stick. Hold on, guys. Hello, Tyler. Okay, thank you. All right, so here we go. This is mocha bread stick. It's really long. This is a croissant, guys. This is a croissant. This is my favorite. Okay, and there's still more. And this is like pumpkin bread. It's pumpkin bread. See how big it is? It's really big. It's big. Okay. So only my palms are big as well. And then inside, it came with this pamphlet and this card. Okay. So there we go. So it came with this pamphlet. It came with this. It's a Shandong Weihai. Okay, that's where we are. Yusheng bread. So it's a bread shop, and it came with this beautiful card, kind of a pamphlet, kind of. And then at the back here, there comes their code here. You can I could scan here their code and more information here about the bread shop. And it also had these ones for scanning. So you find that after eating the bread, because after eating the bread, you may feel like, "Oh, the bread is really delicious. Let me scan." So it's a way of marketing their bread shop, y'all. And I didn't know. That is so smart, because now having these kinds of bread for free, I didn't pay for them. It's for free. In fact, I was thinking that after I swapped my battery, I was gonna go to the bread shop to buy bread for my son. And when I was there, I'm just being offered bread. So it also cut my trip to the power station shorter, because I didn't have to go to the bakery to buy some bread. Now we have bread that was just given to us. Yes, it's a marketing tactic. Okay, so in this case, we got the bread, and with other neo riders and other drivers, we all got bread. And probably after eating this bread, I'm gonna love the bread. And the next thing is I will scan and the bread will be delivered to my door. It's a marketing strategy which I found so good, because there are so many bakeries around, and they are using this smartest way of marketing by making you taste, and they are bringing the bread to you, which I really admired, and the packaging. And then I can imagine how much money they've invested in the tryout and in this marketing exercise. So, in that case, it got me thinking, and I realized that there are so many things I love doing, you know, but sometimes I always scare myself by thinking, oh, maybe nobody will support me. Maybe people will think I'm crazy, just like what people thought when I first came to China to teach here. In fact, I came as a student, and then later I stayed and taught here. So people thought, why are you not coming back? Why are you wasting your profession? Because for me, I did social work, and coming to China to learn the language, it was something that I wanted to add on my resume. And after that, I decided to stay and teach here. And then later, I had to take the IELTS test, and I have the certification on that just to further increase my ability in that. So now, looking at this, I'm like, I have so many things I like to do. I love doing poultry. I love doing a lot of things, but I'm just scared before I even bring out the idea. I'm just scared. I feel like, what if people think this, I'm crazy about this? Or maybe I feel like, oh, if I want to do poultry, I want to start making cups and stuff like that. Because when I was little, my grandma used to make this kind of clay pots, uh, with her bare hands, and sometimes we play around with the clay as well, and do make plates and stuff like that, and then she will kind of burn them for us, and this will last longer and will make maybe kind of vases and stuff. So I feel like it's still in me. I really love doing that. Like in my school, I always see kids, they do have this class where they do this clay, they use the clay work, and they do poetry and make these small mugs and stuff. And I look at them sometimes and say, I remember when I was little, when I was young, my grandma used to use her bare hands to make such things. And I used to enjoy doing that. So can I do it in China? But then I felt like, okay, in China, I may not find the natural clay or the natural mud to make these things, but I feel like it's something that I really like to do, which I feel in Zimbabwe we have a lot of wetlands, and where it's easy, you can easily find natural mud and clay to mix pottery. So I feel like, okay, I want to go back to Zimbabwe. I want to do things that I love. I want to go back in doing that, because there's so many things that I am good at and I love to do, and I would like to expose myself. Like I said, I've been a teacher here for so many years. So why can't I find the clay and maybe do the same way? Like I saw today, I saw these people marketing their brands, marketing what they do, and I'm sure it's things they love to do, and also to be able to just make in thousands and thousands and cover fill the whole boot, the whole trunk, and go out there and just give away to neo riders at the swap station. I think I can do that, right? I can do that. Yes, I love that. I really love that. I love teaching. I also love doing other things other than teaching. So, yes, guys, I think we are almost clocking in an hour doing this live stream. And today I've been having four of you here, and I'm really glad. Remember, the first live stream we were just two of us, and today it has been like three, four, three, four, three, four, and I'm seeing things coming up live now, and I'm really happy, honestly. And I remember, Hang Tuo, you told me last time that there's somebody that you know who started with one person, but now they are clocking around 100 or 1,000 people joining their live streaming, and it's so amazing, especially when I can recognize the names. Now I know the regulars. I know the regulars when I can recognize you coming in and joining in. Oh yeah, Neo. Sorry, I'm kind of behind reading your comments. Yes, I my car is a Neo. It's an EV car and I love it. It's something that I hold on like when I was thinking that, okay, I don't want to go back to China, I want to live in Zimbabwe. Then I was thinking, oh, how about my Neo? Just joking. Yeah. How about my Neo? Can I bring my Neo back to Zimbabwe? Can I make a collaboration with Neo and convince them to bring Neo to Zimbabwe? Then I feel like maybe I'm too small for that. But I feel like someday it can be in Zimbabwe. But can I just walk to Neo and make a proposal to bring Neo to Zimbabwe? If they can do that, then voila. I'll be so excited. I'll be so excited. Oh yeah, you say Ben Coleman. Yes, he has 100,000 subscribers and started live with a stream with one. Yes, yes, yes. I remember you mentioned that in the last live stream I had. So today I'm really excited. It has been four of us, and I'm gonna schedule another one. I feel like I can do twice this a week. Which days are best for you guys? Do you feel like, is it okay to do live streaming on a Saturday? Which one is better? Friday night or Saturday night or Sunday night? These 3 days, which days do you think are more convenient for you guys? Or which days do you think would be more practical to have live streaming on these 3 days? So I'm kind of thinking which days I can like devote for live streaming. You can be an agent for Neo in Zimbabwe by consignment. Yes, but I think there are so many things that can make it harder now to for them to export to Zimbabwe. There are so many things that can prohibit them at the moment. Could be the government laws. It could be because it's an EV car. Definitely, you need power. You need electricity. But Zimbabwe still is at the moment is going under so many strains in terms of economy strains, and it's hard. It is hard. But I think one thing stabilized in Zimbabwe. Why not? Why not? And I would love to be Neo's agent in Zimbabwe. I love that. I love the brand. I love the car. Now this year will be my fourth year. Yeah, it's almost my fourth year driving the Neo, and I'm proud. And I never had a single problem with it. I never had a problem in the past, and I love the service, and I love you know how the car operates. Although I'm not well versed in cars and stuff like that, but I just love the brand. I became to love the brand, and I think the brand loves me as well. So yeah, for 3 hours per day at the moment. Yes. So I think I don't know whether they will be able to provide that for electric. Yeah. It is fully electric. Yes, it is fully electric. It operates on electric only, no gas, none. So in that case, I think there are other brands that use both, but for Neo, it's fully electric, which makes it makes it harder to send to Zimbabwe at the moment. I don't know what the laws of Zimbabwe say in terms of power of electric cars, EVs in Zimbabwe. I don't know. I haven't seen one. I was trying to find whether I can see one in Zimbabwe at the moment. Unfortunately, I didn't see one. They are all gasoline cars in Zimbabwe. I didn't see, but I know you drove a BYD in where are you? BYD in Zimbabwe or in where are you, my soul hurts? Where do you drive this car? Is it an electric one or is I know BYD is beyond what it's beyond what I forgot the full name for it, but it's a Chinese car. So oh, you are in China. Oh, you drove while you were in China. Ah, okay, okay, okay. I remember you told me that you left China, right? So yes. So in Zimbabwe, I didn't. I tried to look for electric cars, but I didn't see any. And I feel like Bring Your Dreams, yes, very popular. I know. I think my very first car in China was Brilliance, but I almost bought that BYD. And then after that Brilliance, I went to Neo for electric. I changed to electric cars, yes, in support of their, environment. Okay, so yeah, but I would love to see electric cars going to Africa. I know there are African countries that are already operating them, but I don't know down south. I don't know as yet, but I would love to see electric cars coming to Zimbabwe. I would love that. I would love that. So I just keep my fingers crossed. It's Build Your Dreams. Yeah, or Bring Your Dreams. Yes, build, or Build Your Dream, not Bring Your Dream. Ah, okay, yeah, I know the BYD. They now have electric cars as well, and yeah, they are good. They are good. Not Bring. Ah, okay. SA has, oh, that's great. That's amazing. That means, but I also know SA is suffering usually on power cuts and stuff like that. So I don't know whether they have reservoirs for only electric cars, or whether they do have backup or what. I don't know. But I know they are also suffering the same problem as Zimbabwe in terms of power supply and stuff, power cuts and stuff like that. I know South Africa is suffering the same, if not worse. Yeah, but I know they are suffering the same. So I don't know whether they are back up on that, or they really arranged well for that. I'm not sure. But I would love to see these electric cars in Zimbabwe. And yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. SA need more Chinese factory to help stop the crime rate. Ah, it's sad. It's really sad, especially the crime. Just 2 days ago, I was watching a video about it was a surveillance video that was taken of carjacking, hijackers, and stuff like that. So I still feel like it's only 2 hours. I was in Cape Town. It's only 2 hours. Oh, so that's okay then. That's okay. The crime rate in South Africa is still high. They really need to do something about it. It's still high, especially on carjackers, and it's still high. I'm scared. I'm really scared. I'm really scared. Yeah, it is inevitable that if you come to Zimbabwe and the rest of, yes, it is. Someday it is. Things will change. I feel like there is no situation that will remain the same. Things will change. Someday it will change, and maybe in Zimbabwe you see EVs everywhere. Like here in China, I think they are driving more towards EVs than gasoline. So I think for every 10 cars you see, you're surely to find five, or if not half, or even more. You find a lot of people are now resorting to EV cars because of their easy maintenance, and you know they are really, 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 I think, cheaper to run. They are convenient, and like especially for my brand, we don't really need to charge. I mean, we don't need to spend hours to charge. We can only swap. We have swap stations, so we swap batteries. Once I run out, I go swap, and swapping takes less than 10 minutes. Now it has been reduced to even 3 minutes. So I feel like it's really convenient, and I can go to any city, any place on the highways. I can go to any city. I can swap. So charging is just a choice, but you don't really have to charge. You can just swap. Yeah, you don't know, Zim is very backward in terms of policy. It is actually, there is a video. There is a live. I'm still considering to make it a live or not, because last time I traveled to Zimbabwe, I had a drone. I wanted to fly a drone in Zimbabwe, but hey, let me let me just reserve that story for another day. Probably that will be our topic in terms of technology and other stuff. I think Zimbabwe is still backward, but when it comes to that, I think it only needs those who are on the top to maybe develop an interest in these EVs. So once they bring them, maybe it will be easier for people to start bringing the EVs. I think my soul hurts if you remember Jinimbi. I think if Jinimbi was still alive, I think there could have been an electric car in Zimbabwe right now. And it only needs one person to start and others will follow suit. So I feel like they only need exposure. If somebody does it first, maybe others will follow. Yes, Zimbabwe is yes, that hurts me, there is Zimbabwe is producing lithium, but they are just exporting it all. They don't know. And you know, it's I'm sure if they had the technology to make and run EV cars, they can really thrive in Zimbabwe because they have lithium. It's sad. It's fun. Yeah, it's funny. It's really sad. Um You don't know Zim is very backward in terms of policy, policy and technology. Technology. They have the raw materials, but they cannot process them to be finished products. Hence, I think Zimbabwe lose a lot of money. They will export raw materials and then they will buy finished products at almost double the price they sell the raw materials, which will always be put Zimbabwe on the disadvantaged side. Mm-hmm. And funny part, Zim is the top six producer of lithium used to power EVs. Yes, it's sad. There's no value add to their minerals and produce. Okay, so in Zimbabwe they'll just send them as natural, like unfinished products, and then they'll buy them as finished products at a higher price, which always put us in the disadvantaged side. I wish we can be ahead with technology and maybe these EV cars would be rolling on the streets of Harare. But like I said in my past life about the road situation, I feel like the road situation again are not going to be on our favor, on our side in terms of like the efficiency of running of these automobiles in Zimbabwe. The roads are still way, way bad. Yeah, they're still way, way bad. Mm-hmm. And wool thread to be manufactured into garments. Yeah, that's it. That's why you find that China has really developed very, very fast because they are able to go out there and sow stuff, you know, and then they can invest there and bring all the raw materials back. Just like I was talking about teaching English, at the beginning, they would employ anybody who look foreign here to teach here in China. And then after, now that most people can speak English, or their target or their goal has been made. Now they start to source for the best. Now it's not just everybody or anyone who thinks that they can teach here in China. It's now different, you know. They changed the policy, they changed everything. It's the same with everything. They can go everywhere, spread everywhere to go and source for raw materials and bring back and refine them and sell them back to you at triple, like the prices will escalate. And that's how the country has developed very fast. And by bringing the raw materials, that means they are creating jobs to the locals, for the locals, right, to do that job. And then they start to sell back to you at higher prices, and their economy will continue to increase. Hmm. uh, Yes, I know. Neo is Norway, in Norway now. It is in Germany. It is in some European countries. They have already entered those markets. Um, but I don't know, for some reasons the Tesla is losing business in China. I think it is because of so many EV cars coming up now. So you find that Tesla is losing so much of their business here in China. I remember before the new year, Tesla's shares went down, or even the prices of Teslas dropped here in China. So you find a lot of people bought those cars, and there was also rumors that Teslas were being banned in certain places. When that sort of happens, you find in China, if one place ban a certain brand, you know what happens in the whole country. So yes, they did suffer a lot. They had a lot of they suffered a lot in terms of their sales here in China by the end of last year in 2023. I don't know the new year coming up whether they will see increase in sales of stuff. I don't know, but I know nowadays the Chinese government is promoting more of local made products. You know, so I've also noted that Neo has started manufacturing multiple, SUVs. New cars are coming up, and the sales are enormous. So, which I feel like is the right time to even buy Neo shares and stuff because they are doing well on the market at the moment. Mm-hmm. And how not really there was a mass hysteria with those two accidents in Chengdu. Was it Chengdu? You mean about what? Was it a Tesla or was it a Neo? There is a Hisense factory. Oh yes. Yes, that's true. That's true. It's too high to compare to BYD. Yes, it is too high. But they went on this, like I told you, it really affected Neo's shares in the last, I think in the last quarter of last year because Neo just reduced their prices, you know, they just reduced their prices, I think, with a certain percentage that really affected most EV car manufacturers. And at that time, but Neo didn't. It didn't. They remained, but their sales really went down because most people were buying Teslas because they were like at the giveaway prices, you know, which we totally couldn't understand what was going on. And then soon after that, there was a ban. There was a rumor of a ban on Teslas in some places, designated places. Hence, people stopped buying Teslas. So it's really, oh, for Tesla. Yeah, it could be. So in that case, it's really confusing here. It's really confusing. But I've noticed that you find that the locals are pushing for local brands, the Chinese made cars now than, yeah, although Tesla has a plant here. But there's something I've experienced that I'll never forget. There was a time I went to Tesla. I just wanted to test drive their Y model. Of course, I was already a Neo model, a Neo driver, but I wanted to test their Y model. And I received the worst service ever. And they were rude. The salespeople were really, really rude, which I later complained on their website, and then it went back and forth. Of course, I didn't have any intentions of buying a Tesla, but I wanted to. But you never know. I went there, I wanted to try it out, and I was making a video for my channel, testing or driving a Tesla and the differences. Just wanted to compare it. And then the way I was treated there, it was absurd. It was really strange. It has never happened. I've never seen Chinese salespeople being so rude to customers like that. So the way I was treated there, I felt really, really surprised because it was something totally new. I know salespeople in China are being so humble, and you know they may have problems with you walking out on the street, but when you enter a shop and stuff, you are treated with high respect and stuff, which is something that I've noted in the past. But on that particular day, I was shocked. I was so surprised because it's something I've never experienced in my entire life living in China, which I later took up to their website because once you do a test drive, they want your feedback and also pushing for sales, right? And I said my truth. I didn't hide anything. And I also stated how disappointed I was doing a test drive there. And yeah, got some offers, and even telling me that if I want a car, I was going to get a discount. And they were sorry and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, I didn't go again to do a test drive because I felt really off. Even if I wanted to buy a Tesla, I think it's something that made me feel very uncomfortable. And I didn't know that they could treat customers like that, you know. Yeah, I think this live we've stretched it longer. For those who are coming, you can do a playback, and also don't forget to like this live stream. And I'll be so glad if you can share this live stream, although it's coming to an end. But you can play it as a play. You can do a playback, and but overall, how are you holding up in China? Are you still teaching? Or yes, I am. I am still teaching. I am still teaching. Just at the beginning of my video, I mentioned that I'm still teaching, and I feel like it's a high time for me to retire now. I want to retire. Um, I want to pursue other paths. I want to pursue other things of interest, and I feel like there's life after teaching, and I've been teaching for so many years, and I feel like I've done my part. I have felt really excited, very happy to be a teacher, and I felt really fulfilled to see my students communicating back to me in English or using the things that I've taught them, and also seeing them succeed. Some of my students that I've taught in private schools, some of them are in universities and stuff. So it's something that still melts my heart away. But I feel like I am still teaching at the moment, but I feel like I have done my part in this industry, and I feel like every good thing should come to an end, and I feel I should pursue other things of my interests. While I still have my heart in teaching, I can as well come back, or I can as well do it as my sidekick job. That's why you are seeing me looking more into relocating to Zimbabwe, pursuing other paths. But what I do want to do is relocating to another country. I'm done with learning languages. I think I've learned Chinese, which I've always thought was the hardest language. And I feel I am comfortable with it. And I don't want to continue to learn languages. So I feel like my time may be coming to an end in the teaching industry, and I want to retire. I want to retire. I want to retire. Like Westway, it's babysitting job. Okay, yes, it is. But unfortunately, teaching in China as a person of color and as an African, it is now different as it was in the past. I think there was so much respect in the past than it is right now. Like I've mentioned at the beginning, I'll still repeat it anyway. There was so much respect in the past as compared to now. I think now the profession has changed. It has changed so much. I've seen it all. Like I said, I've been teaching it for 15 years. At the beginning of my career as a teacher here in China, it was so nice, it was so interesting, and you could actually see that teachers were respected people, either the school, the management, the parents, the children, everybody. It was such a good profession then, but now things are changing. Things are changing. In this case, I feel like I've done my part. I've compared. I've seen all these changes happening. Some of them is the system and the laws that are being imposed on that. So you find a lot is changing when it comes to teaching. Okay, there are new people still joining us, and people asking about my husband. My husband is there. My husband is there. What do you want to say to my husband? Where's your husband? My husband is there, and my husband is somebody who doesn't like social media, and you probably will not see him in my videos. It's just for me. I am the one who love doing social media. I'm the one who love to create videos and put myself out there, but my husband is more of a shy person, and he doesn't like doing videos. Tell me the secret. If you have a secret, how can I make him want to be part of this journey, the YouTube, social media and stuff like that? How can I? Because I've tried, and he's just not too into it. I don't know what I can do to make him, but I decided not to push for him. I know this channel, the person you may probably see is my son, but I find that in recent days he doesn't like to even me take him videos or stuff. even recording him, he doesn't like, he doesn't feel comfortable. So I think he's just taking the sides of his dad. He doesn't want to do social media anymore. He also have um his channel, but these days he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to do anything on his channel. So I don't push. It's just not for them. I hope your question has been answered, Tanaka. Huang Chua, you said, but Sabrina in China is enjoying it very much. She's Jamaican. Yes, I know that girl. I know her. Yes, she's enjoying it. But one thing we must know for sure is, um, if you're a foreigner, you will be a foreigner. And that's one thing for sure in China. If you're a foreigner, you'll be a foreigner. And your time here is unknown. It's either you can voluntarily go, or sometimes the laws can make you go. So yes, enjoy while it lasts. It's enjoy while it lasts. Yes, she is enjoying it. Some same as another Chinese man and African woman, and they are very left wing in their attitude. Really? Okay, thank you for answering me. Ndoita say wo teaching in Ndoita say kutindito teaching. I think Naka, you came a little bit late. I addressed this topic earlier on. Yeah, teaching in China is not as it was in the past. Teaching in China used to be so easy. I can say maybe 5 years ago, before the COVID, five, 5 years ago, I think the last time it was easy for foreigners, even Zimbabweans, to come and teach in China was like 5 years ago. After the COVID, a lot of things have changed in regard of teaching in China. And I don't want to lie to you, Zimbabwe, especially Zimbabwe and other African countries now, are not really recognized as natives of English. So you find that teaching in China as a Zimbabwean is way harder, unlike in the past. In the past, nobody really cared about your nationality. Only being a foreigner was enough, was all it took for you to find a job here and teach as an English teacher, regardless of a profession, whether you are qualified to teach or what. Just being a foreigner was enough for you to find a job here. But nowadays, in recent years, it's different. Unless maybe it's not teaching English. If you are you can teach other subjects apart from English, then probably there is still a chance in international schools being a subject teacher, maybe a math teacher, science, or any other, but not ESL teacher, not English teacher. These ones are kind of like left only for native speakers, people from America, the UK, English speaking countries, also limited. And some, when they talk of non native speakers, now you'll be looking at countries like European countries where they don't speak English, but they're speaking as a second language. Now it comes on to their skin color. So if you're from Africa, it's really hard nowadays. That's the honest truth. It's really hard. It's really hard to find a job as an English teacher in China. It is hard. But maybe there are other countries I saw. If you can scroll down the chart, probably you can see the part where somebody suggested that Taiwan or maybe Vietnam, maybe other Asian countries could be better. But China, honestly, it's not as it was before. Things have greatly changed here. Yeah, the laws, especially the laws, changed a lot of things here. It was just like a 360 turnaround. Everybody was shocked, and until this day, a lot of foreigners are leaving China. They are leaving because it's hard to find jobs and stay employed. So yes, you can try other countries, other Asian countries. Probably you can be lucky doing it, but I do not have a diploma of teaching. I'm a lawyer and accountant. Yeah, it's the way I see it. If you have studied in China, you can teach in China, but how are you going to spend 4 years studying a degree so that you can just teach English? The other thing is, if somebody studies in China, um, it's not as easy as well as it was to study here and teach here. Unless you study here, you work here for your degree, like I mean, in work in the respective of your degree, because nowadays it's not about being a foreigner or having a degree. It's also about what did you study. Do you have a degree in education? If you have a degree in education, of course, yes, you can apply for a work permit that allows you to teach in education. You can't be a lawyer and teach English. It's totally different. Now they consider your degree in which respect. So you cannot just have a degree and be a teacher. No, it has changed. Like I said, the laws are constantly changing and they are changing. For you to have an English teaching work permit, you must have a diploma in English or a diploma in education, masters in education and stuff like that. So it's no longer easy. It's no longer easy. Or also those who are studying here, there is no longer guarantee of them finding a job here. So it's you study, you graduate, you leave. You study, you graduate, you exit. It's more like that. So it's unlike before. Like I say, the laws are changing. And the laws are changing. You find that in some cities, teaching in academy, that is after school academies, right, training schools, is no longer allowed. It has become illegal. So if a training center is running with a foreign teacher in it, if they happen to be checked, they are fined. They're going to be fined, or the teacher can be deported. So you find that there are so many risky people may take now, and these are what they are not allowed to work. They are not allowed to have classes. They are not allowed to have foreign teachers in these institutes. These are laws. In some cities it's different. So now it just depends with the province. The laws in one city can be different from the next city. Some provinces do not even allow English to be taught in kindergartens. Even other languages subjects to be taught in, like math, like art, they are not allowed to be taught in kindergartens. So it's just different. It's different. So you find these laws are changing every day. So you can't really know what's going to happen tomorrow. You can't really know what's going to happen next year. Or you can't really know that maybe I'm having this job right now and I have the permit to work in this job right now. But you don't know what will happen next year on your renewal. Because you find most visas in China, they are on yearly renewal. It's only 1 year and they have to renew it. So you never know what may be the laws like in your next renewal. So no one is really sure. Some were shocked when it's time for them to renew and they are told no, their school is no longer allowed to have English classes, or they are no longer allowed to hold this or to employ foreign teachers in their school. So in that case, it means the teacher just lost a job. So in that case, that's why I'm saying the laws around the education sector constantly changes, and they are not the same in every city. So you find every city is different, every district is different. So things are changing. You can't really tell which is which. Okay. And you say rumor abound that the government is going to introduce a whole regime of visas at the end of this year to grant permanent residence. Oh yes, it's true. And there's also yes, also the massive unemployment rate. My wife is Chinese and she has a master's degree and she couldn't find a job for 2 years. um in fact, when you are here, like pertaining the visas, there are different categories of visas, right? There are teaching visas, there are visas in other respects, and there are these one marriage visas and stuff like that. In China, a marriage visa is not allowed. Once a person is here on a marriage visa, you are not allowed to work. So this is a visa that can only allows you to stay with your family, but you should not seek employment with this visa. If you intend to find employment or seek employment, you have to change that visa to suit your papers. So you find that working without the right papers is also breaking the law here, which may lead for somebody to be deported and be banned from entering the country for 5 years. So you find that it's really hard. The laws are changing and they're really hard to keep up with. And getting this residence, permanent residence, it also depends because, see, in my case, I have been living here for over 15 years. My husband is Chinese, and we have been living here for so many years. In this city that I live in, it's a small city, but it's a very popular city, well-known city, But to my surprise, there are several ways to get a permanent green card, Chinese green card. But in my case, I can't have it. The only reason is our city is small. They haven't had anybody who applied for it. So me being in this city, it means I don't know until when I can actually apply and be granted the permanent residence in this country. Although I've been married for almost 10 years, which this marriage visa you can be allowed to apply for a permanent residence if you are married and stayed in the country for 5 years, been married for 5 years, and have managed to stay at least 8 months of the year in HA. But I've been married for 9 years now. It's almost 10, going to 10 years of marriage. Still, I tried to apply for this permanent residence when I got to 6 years of marriage. But the reason I got is we have to wait. We have to wait. So it's still hard. And having this one, I don't really know whether it will be easier for a person to get the permanent residency here, or it's just officially, but getting it in the practical form is harder. Look at myself. I have a child, 8-year-old son here, which is in the system and everything. We have a house which is in the system and everything, but still I don't have the permanent residence, only because our city is too small and nobody have had applied for that and be given that before. And the cities that are near us, I know people who have been married for 5 and 6 years who've already been granted this. So it all comes down to where you are, which city you live in, which province you live in, because all these rules and policies are different. They are not the same around China. They are all different. So it just depends. Hmm. Yeah, there are so many Russians and Ukrainians because of the war. Yes, there are so many here, and some are even married to locals. Yeah, yes. Also, the massive unlimited. My wife is Chinese. Yeah, it's like that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for having fun with me today, and I am forever humbled by your presence here. You coming here and joining my live is something that brings content to my heart, and I'm forever thankful for that. I will reschedule another one. I think I gave you the question, but nobody answered. I was saying, which day do you think would be best to have a live? Because I feel like we can have a live maybe once a week or twice a week. So you can meet again and catch up. Okay. And we can just talk about various things, a variety of things, which is okay with me. Which day would be perfect for you guys? Friday nights or Saturday nights or Sundays is today. Which one would be better? I'm just putting a poll, guys. Just let me know, which day do you think is ideal? Doesn't matter as long as plenty of notice. Okay, great. That's great. I'll make sure that I will reschedule a live way ahead of time. Maybe I can try Friday. Friday, let's see. I can try Friday first and see what happens, and then schedule another one on a Sunday and see which one will have a good turnover, and then we can stick to that. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Have a good night. I will see you again in the next one. Oh, Molly. Hi. Yes, you came a bit late. I'm just about to leave. I think I am going to reschedule another live on Friday night. Then we can have another chance to chat and hang out together. Thank you so much for coming. Although you came late, it's never too late. You can always follow our conversation that we had throughout this live. You can always go back, watch, listen, because it was all active throughout. There was no moment of silence. It was all active. Thank you so much for coming tonight, and it's goodbye. I'll see you in the next live streaming. Goodbye. Have a good night.